Okay, let's just dive right in. If you've ever felt that social situations are, more of a stressor than a pleasure, then you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down social anxiety not as some kind of personal failing, but as a very real and very manageable condition. It's really all about understanding how your brain is wired and, more importantly, how you can actually start to rewire it. Let's kick things off with this quote from Albert Camus because it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For millions of people, just being normal in a social setting is, well, it's exhausting. It's this constant, invisible effort. If that sounds familiar, I just want you to know that you are so not alone in feeling that way. So, what are we really talking about here? Okay, the formal definition calls it a persistent and exaggerated fear. But let's be real. The source material describes it as what it is: debilitating and exhausting. It's that intense worry that you're going to be judged, and it's so powerful, it makes you want to avoid those situations completely. This is a scientifically recognized condition, not just being shy. And just how common is this? Well, get this. About 5.3 million Americans suffer from social anxiety disorder. That is a huge number of people spending all that energy just trying to get through a meeting, a party, or even just a casual chat. So the main takeaway here is, this is a shared human experience. All right, so why does it feel so physical, so visceral? To get that, we need to look at what's actually happening inside your body. Let's talk about your body's built-in threat alarm. When your brain sees a social situation as a threat, it really doesn't distinguish it from, say, a physical danger. It just flips the same ancient switch, the fight or flight response. And boom, your system gets flooded with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, getting you ready to either fight for your life or run for the hills. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. You're looking at what's basically an evolutionary mismatch. This whole fight-or-flight system was brilliant for our ancestors. A tiger attacks? Oh yeah, you absolutely want that surge of adrenaline. But meeting new people at work? That same response is completely, totally unhelpful. You're trying to be cool and calm, but your body is prepping for a battle. And this right here, this is the core of the problem. Let that sink in for a second. The social event itself isn't the real danger. The real threat becomes your own body's over-the-top reaction. You're not actually afraid of the party. You're afraid of blushing, of your heart racing, of your mind going blank. You're afraid of the threat response itself. So if our own physical response is the real problem, that actually gives us a whole new place to focus. And this means we need to understand a super important idea. Feelings aren't always facts. We have to learn to separate the physical sensations from the emotion. So I want you to ask yourself this question. Really think about it as we look at this next slide. All those things you experience in a moment of anxiety, are they actually emotions? Just think about it for a second. Blushing, a racing heart, a shaky voice, trembling, feeling super hot, not being able to think straight. We call it feeling anxious, but are these things really emotions in and of themselves? And the answer is no. This is the big reveal, a real game changer. Those are not emotions. Those are the physical symptoms of your nervous system going into overdrive. And that is such an important distinction. You are not your anxiety. You are a person experiencing the effects of an overactive nervous system. The source material calls this a dysregulated nervous system, or, my personal favorite, a trippy nervous system. It's basically stuck in a high alert fight or flight mode. And this physical state, this is what fuels everything else. The exaggerated thoughts, the intense emotions, and the behaviors that end up making your world feel smaller. And this is exactly how that trippy physical state messes with your data. It leads directly to these kinds of bad thinking habits. Your body is screaming danger, so your brain scrambles to find a reason why, and it latches onto thoughts like, I'm going to embarrass myself, or everyone is judging me. It's a classic vicious cycle. So how do we break out of that cycle? Well, this is where we get practical. Let's open up what's called the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, or CBT, toolkit. And this isn't just about talking about your feelings. It's about learning a scientific method to become your own therapist. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius was onto this thousands of years ago. Anxiety isn't some external force that's attacking you. It's generated from within, from your own perceptions. CBT is really just the modern science of learning how to manage those perceptions. Okay, so here's the core process. It's just 4 steps. Number 1, catch. This is all about awareness, just noticing that automatic negative thought when it pops into your head without judging it. 2, examine. Now you put on your detective hat. Is this thought actually 100% true? Where's the hard evidence? 3, regulate. This is where you calm that trippy nervous system down before you do anything else. And finally, 4, change. Once your body is calmer and your mind is clearer, you can actively choose a more balanced thought and decide on a new way to act. And for step 3, regulate. This is your go-to move. When you feel that adrenaline rush, you have to consciously slow your breathing. Just breathe it down and use a simple, rational mantra to remind your brain of the truth. I'm okay. It's okay. There's no tiger here. You're just a little bit trippy, and that's okay. You can handle it. Now, using this toolkit isn't just about surviving tough moments. It's really about creating lasting change. And that brings us to our final big idea, how you can literally start rewiring your brain to build a bigger, fuller life. Here's the thing you have to remember. Your brain is not fixed. Every single time you challenge a negative thought and you try a new behavior, even something small like staying at a party for just 5 more minutes, you are collecting new evidence that tells your brain, hey, that wasn't a catastrophe. And this new evidence literally starts to edit your brain's automatic circuitry. Now, it's worth mentioning, for some people, the physical symptoms are so intense that it's just hard to even get started. The source material points out that a doctor might suggest occasional use beta blockers. Now, these aren't anti-anxiety meds in the usual sense. They just block the physical effects of adrenaline. This can help calm that physical storm enough to give you the space you need to practice these new CBT skills and start collecting that new evidence. So here's the bottom line. This is not wishful thinking. It's a science. The connection between your thoughts, your body's response, and what you do, it's real. And your ability to change it is also real. But, and this is a big but, it requires you to actively participate. You've got to start learning and doing. And that really brings us to our final thought. This whole process, it's all about collecting new data to prove your anxious brain wrong. So I'll leave you with this question to take with you. What new evidence, no matter how small it seems, are you going to collect today?